Today at the World of AI podcast, we have another amazing guest for you. Her name is Diana Bejasa and she's located in Hawaii. And she has 20 plus years of experience in high stress, very male dominated industries from Wall Street to Michelin starred kitchens. Diana is combining AI strategies for herself, but also for helping her clients, whom she's helping in actually managing burnout and recovering from burnout. Because, many people are very, very focused on performing all the time. And she has herself many, many years until, some health challenges came up and some really she herself has been in burnout at the end of the day. So you're going to hear her story. Now, today, she is a single mom. She is valuing her time a lot, and she's going to share some strategies on how she's freeing up her time, what she's using AI for, and sharing a little bit of her experience. She's also a 9/11 survivor, and she has shared the stage with people like Dr. Phil or Maura Forbes. So she has a very, very interesting CV. So definitely listen in and listen to what she has to share about AI and the future of AI. Have fun. Hello and welcome back to the World of AI podcast. With me today is again our amazing co-host, Andre. Andre, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Perfect. We have another amazing guest today with us. Her name is Diana Bejasa, and she's actually from Hawaii right now with us. So welcome to Hawaii. Welcome, Diana.
Hello.
I love Hawaii. I have so many invitations now to come over. I should really do that. So maybe share a little bit for our audience. What do you do and whatever you find important just to kick it off. And then before we go into the AI pieces of this podcast.
Absolutely. So I'm a life coach, but for 20 plus years, I've spent time pushing through the pressure cookers of Wall Street, Michelin-starred kitchens, because I was convinced that stress was the price of ambition. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What I discovered in my journey battling autoimmune disease and unexpected divorce was, maybe everything I had learned about success was actually wrong. So now, as a Burn Through Catalyst speaker, I actually disrupt those outdated personal development myths to prove that the highest achievers don't work the hardest, they work the smartest. And I believe that AI is a big part of that. So I've really found in my journey that real success is not about burning out. It's about learning how to fuel our fire strategically.
Awesome. This is so true, right? When we met, actually, you were at the playground with your daughter. It was so amazing. And so it just shows you live what you preach, right? So basically, this is a really important topic for you. And you do have a very, very interesting story. And maybe let's dive a little bit deeper into that, right? So, I basically also, like, as woman here, I also have been working in very male-dominated industries. You just mentioned Wall Street, right? What were you doing on Wall Street?
I worked in debt capital markets. And if you don't work in finance, that means nothing to you. What that basically means is that I helped Fortune 500 companies issue bonds whenever they wanted to raise funds to open, like when Walmart wants to open a new complex or has a project that they want to fund and they're looking for money, they are go into debt to fund that project or to make an investment, or they could do it by selling stock. Those are the two options, right? You either sell stock or you sell bonds, and I would help them with coming to market with their bonds.
And then you made a really big shift to going to be a chef. Like, how did that happen? Like, how do you go from insurance to like, now I want to cook?
Yeah, all the twists and turns in my life I never expected, but one of the things, Mona, we were talking about a little offline was that I'm a 9/11 survivor. And that experience really shaped the way that I'm willing to look at life, where I know what it feels like to not know if I'm going to make it to the end of the day. And that clarity, that brush with death kind of experience means that I remember that day, it was a Tuesday, it's the beginning of September, and I was a senior in high school. So I was thinking about a lot of the things that a senior girl in high school would be thinking about. Right? First up was boys. Second is like, what outfit am I going to wear? Third was, and the distant mind is like, okay, I'm going to have to think about college sometime. And then a plane hit the World Trade Center and everything became clear. None of that stuff mattered. What mattered was I going to make it home to see my family again? Were my friends safe? There was just, was I going to be safe, right? There were so many things that became much more important to me in that moment. And it showed me that all these things that I had been taught to chase, right? The boys, the aesthetics, the colleges, like none of that stuff actually mattered if I didn't have that much time left in my life. And so why I share that is because whenever I've hit crisis, I have these moments of clarity or I figure out what's really important. And so when I worked on Wall Street, I worked there during the global financial crisis. So when the entire subprime market collapsed, which affected the entire debt market up until investment grade, which is where I worked. And so as a result of that, I got this clarity too, as I saw my colleagues losing their jobs, all that kind of stuff. I thought to myself, okay, well, what's my next move? I remember after my boss had gotten laid off, I was like, what am I going to do? And there were many people around me who chose, okay, I'm going to go to another investment firm. I'm going to go work in an insurance firm, a hedge fund. Maybe I'll go back to school. And so I thought about all those options that definitely made much more sense. But I also have a deadly peanut allergy, so I've had a couple brushes with death that way too. And as a result, I found that my intuition has saved me in many times, just this unknowing knowing that tells me not to do something or to touch something or to go a certain way. And so I heard from my intuition again that day, and it told me if you go back to school, it's going to be culinary school. And I thought that sounded crazy, right? Like, who gives up a six-figure salary and, like, six-figure bonuses to work in a kitchen for like $10 an hour? But at the same time, it made perfect sense because I was so passionate about cooking. I would have these 14, 16-hour days in in at work in banking and 6 days a week, and I would still come home and want to bake something or cook something. It was like a way for me to like recharge even when it felt like I was just completely spent. And I was like, wow, I know I'm smart, I'm hardworking. If I put all of this passion into what I love, right? If I put my hard work into what I'm passionate about as well, I bet I can succeed. I bet I can thrive. And I was right. Like, I did really well in the culinary industry. I worked in San Francisco in Michelin starred restaurants. If you're familiar with Quince Restaurant, which is a 3-star Michelin now, at the time when I worked there, it was 1 star, but always, again, with that idea of like thriving, of improvement, those sort of things. So I'm no stranger to high pressure kitchens. But at the same time, what I found in working in some of those environments, my last job, I was working in New York for Danny Meyer. He's the guy behind Shake Shack and has some international restaurants as well. And I had gotten promoted twice because I had this unique combination of culinary knowledge along with the business knowledge from my time in business school and advising businesses. And so I was opening 9 restaurants in 2 states on the same day. I woke up in a hotel room in Washington, D.C., and noticed that I had this bald spot right here on the side of my head. It was like a quarter size. And I did what I think a lot of women and a lot of people do when they're in a high pressure situation, but they have a lot of people relying on them or they have something they got to get done. I brushed my hair right over, pretended nothing was wrong with me, and continued to do what I needed to do. But that was my wake up call, and that kind of led me into realizing that what I was doing wasn't really healthy. So that was part of how I got it from investment banking into cooking and kind of led me into the coaching and doing some of the work I do now. Yeah, so today, what I found in working very hard like that, right, working in what I was passionate about, I was following a lot of the rules of personal development as they had been traditionally shared, right? Like if you're hardworking, if you're passionate, like you can do all these things, you can succeed. But at the same time, I noticed that it was coming at the cost of my health. Right. So it wasn't
Hmm.
just the hair loss. That was the sign that like really woke me up. But before that, I developed low back pain. I developed autoimmune disease. I have bone spurs in my feet. And every single time this obstacle came up, telling me to kind of slow down, that something was wrong, I ignored it. I went to the doctor, got whatever I needed to fix the symptoms. But when I lost my hair, that was when I started to really think about the root of the problem. I realized for myself, like, I don't want to just keep covering up what's going on inside my body. I want to get to like what's actually going on. And as I was listening to my doctors, I heard many of them tell me, like, oh, like, have you had anything stressful happen recently? Oh, yeah, the hair loss can be related to stress, or yeah, the back pain can be related to stress. And so at first, I thought to myself, that's the problem. It's stress. Stress is the problem. It's a stressful life. It's a stressful city. It's this stressful job that I have. That's the problem. And so that was when I resolved to move to Hawaii and change my life and change jobs and all these different things. That was how I started my journey, but I actually thought I would go into some form of consulting. At the time I was married, I had a husband, and I told him about my dream, and he told me, he was like, "Well, okay, but like, What's going to be different? And that question pissed me off, but it was honestly life changing because he was right. What was going to be different? I'd moved, I changed jobs before, I had changed my whole life before. And here I was still again feeling sick, feeling unfulfilled, dissatisfied. And I realized I didn't want to just change my whole life again and end up back changing my whole life again later. So I really thought, like, okay, I got to get to the root of this. It's not just stress. And then in my journey, I realized, wow, like, yes, stress is a part of this, but I have to take responsibility for where I'm addicted to stress, where I'm actually perpetuating some of these patterns that are leading me to think that, like, that I can do all these things when it's clear that it's not. So it led me to kind of question some of the things that I'd learned in personal development and to go deeper into understanding more healing and other things. And when I spoke to Mona a couple of days ago, I was telling her that, like, for me, I'm a single mom now. AI is a huge time saver. It's something that I absolutely love. It's such an effective tool, but all throughout history, we have gained new technologies that were intended to save us time and stress and told that they were going to be this new miracle for us. And yet we're more stressed out and have less time than ever before. But I mean, we save so much time by having direct deposit, by being able to email something as opposed to having to write out formal letters. And what I've found is, like, we have all these time saving, stress saving mechanisms, but we've got to look at what's really causing our stress in the first place. Because a lot of times when we have that time that's freed up, then we just add on another stressful project, right? Or then we just end up scrolling social media, or we just end up adding more to our plate as opposed to taking the time that these time savers have given us to relax. So I find that a lot of times, like, yes, AI can help us, but we also got to look at, why are we so uncomfortable with free time, with relaxing? And I think it has a lot to do with these myths of, like, of an over reliance on productivity and just this glorification of hustle culture and constantly working and working harder. And I think that we forget that rest is actually quite productive.
Totally. And maybe let's go a little bit deeper into, like, I mean, we talked about it. You use a lot of AI for yourself, right? So maybe just share a little bit of some examples, like what do you do? And I also have some other questions regarding some of the topics you just mentioned in a different framing later on. But let's first of all start with what you already do today for yourself. How do you use it for yourself? Maybe share some examples with our listeners.
Oh gosh, I feel like there's nowhere that I don't use AI. And it's such a huge time saver. Like I said, being a single mom, running my own business, also working part-time for a business networking organization. I use AI like all day. Even as a chef, yes, I have classic culinary training, but sometimes there are projects that we can find that AI can do for us so that we lessen our mental load. So can you organize it by aisle in the grocery store so that I know exactly where I'm getting everything and I don't have to look twice? Or I may even ask AI to organize my prep schedule. So that's just one way I use AI when it comes to cooking. I use AI to send those emails. I think that there's so many ways that AI can help us. I think the attitude we've got to have is, okay, AI can do a lot of these things that we know how to do. Even for businesses, when I advise businesses and as a coach and consultant, a lot of times I use AI. I teach people how to use AI to save themselves time, right? I just think it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah, totally.
I use a lot of the general stuff. There are a lot of softwares I've learned about, but I would say that most of what I do is more basic in that I'm using a lot of OpenAI or Gemini or Copilot. But at the same time, I think that where I do spend a lot of time and refinement is actually figuring out how to write better prompts. Because it's not about, like, having all these tools, it's about sometimes getting better at using the tools.
Yeah. What your experience with getting better prompts or getting better communication with the AI? Do you have some insights about that?
Yeah, so I do love to learn about how to prompt AI better, and I find that assigning a role makes a big difference, giving context for, like, what it is I want or what the situation is, and then also giving it clarity on, like, how I want it to respond. So for example, sometimes people will ask AI for something and it'll, like, generate this huge long list. And that can feel overwhelming. I find, especially in my work with people, helping them through burnout, that I'll tell AI, like, give me one thing at a time. Don't give me, like, all the things, but walk me through this step by step. Or I'll also ask AI to ask me questions to help me generate better responses. So I'll ask it to come up with questions that will give it better answers or the ability to better answer. But I also will ask it to guess the answers for me because again, I'm just always looking for ways to save a little brain power, and rather than think, I'd rather have AI think for me in those situations, and then I can say no, this is what I actually want, or this is the way that this is the way that I would uniquely position myself versus somebody else, and using it kind of like as that jumping off board to help me refine as opposed to just always coming up with original things. I've even used AI to and told AI, like, you're a world-class prompt engineer, create a prompt to do this, and it'll come up with a prompt, and then I will refine it from there. So I think there's lots of cool ways that we can use AI.
Yeah. And do you have also the experience that you mentioned that you make a step-by-step prompts and not get a big list at all? I heard a lot, and I have myself an experience with that if I make single steps, the answers become better at the end. So the AI
Yes.
is learning.
Yes, it is. And then even I find, I don't remember where I read this, but somebody said that because AI, like a lot of the models are generative, if you ask it to think first, like think about how it would answer the question versus just answering the question, it comes up with better answers as well. So yeah, I think that the more that we allow the model to slow down and give us bite-sized pieces, the more we are able to make modifications that create a better final product. I totally agree, Andre.
Yeah, perfect.
So I would like to be a little bit visionary in the future. You just mentioned before that we are a little bit addicted to stress. I can 100% relate to that. I'm a little workaholic, right? Do you think, looking at AI and where it is right now, the agents coming up, right? AI agents, do you think that AI can help break those patterns in the future? Or are they going to make it worse by feeding into our addictions? What do you think?
I don't think AI is responsible for that. I think we as humans are responsible for that. AI is just a tool. It's like a cell phone. It's like a laptop. Obviously, it's more intelligent than any of those things, right? But at the same time, it's like when Andre, when we were talking about prompts, right? It's kind of like how Google is only as good as the query that you give it. So it's all about how we choose to use it. And I think that it's why I kind of feel like, like even the industry of coaching. Yes, AI can come up with a plan for all the things that you need to do, but nobody can replace the accountability that you get from a real human being. No one can there are like certain things that we as humans have and have responsibility for, and I think that our stress is one of those situations. It can amplify our stress and make it worse. It can also absolutely relieve our stress, but it's all about, are we going to start to notice that pattern ourselves? And that's something absolutely human. We can't blame AI one way or the other. We can't give it responsibility for curing it. We can't give it responsibility for making it worse. That's on us.
I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate, right? Have you seen the movie I, Robot with Will Smith?
No, I haven't.
Very old, actually.
Really
Like,
not.
oh, it's a great movie. You have to check that out. I, Robot. I think it's from the 90s.
Okay.
And like it predicts pretty much how AI can become so intelligent that it has to protect the humans from itself. That's a little bit the
Mm.
story behind it. So like, I mean, playing devil's advocate, could we not train AI to recognize patterns and say, stressed right now? Stop it. Take a pause. Like, could AI force us to actually master our own addiction and be actually a better? Because like what I found often with accountability is that people still let you back out, even though they know they shouldn't. They are trained like, do not let us back out. They still somehow do because we're humans. We have empathy. So could maybe an AI be like, no, I don't have empathy with you. I'm trained to keep you accountable. I don't care if you like that or not. And I recognize that you are stressed right now. So I'm going to intervene. Is that a reality that could, like, would that stress out even more? Like, would that stress us even more? Or would that actually be a valid solution to say, like, why not? I mean, if it gets intelligent enough to recognize, like, I mean, it's pretty good at face recognition already, right? It can identify which state you're actually in. So if an AI could actually identify, like, ooh, you sound stressed, and actually some countermeasures that, of course, we have to feed it. Obviously, it cannot come up with that itself because every person relaxes a bit differently. But assuming we could feed an AI into that, could that work? Or would you say like, hell no, I don't want to live in such a world?
I love that. I think that, so what I'm hearing you say is AI could help us notice. It could help us
Mhm.
with the awareness. But again, it's about what are we going to do with the awareness, right? Because if we're truly addicted to stress, which I do feel like many of us are, what happens when an addict is taken away from their drug of choice? They find another way. They get real creative, right? With figuring out. So, like, maybe your AI on your laptop tells you you're too stressed, we're not going to work with you. You've got a phone, you've got your friend's phone, you figure out a way. You know what I'm saying? So, I think, yes, it can help in terms of getting us that awareness. But we as humans also have to do a little bit of work and take responsibility for actually stopping the pattern. So yes, like I think that would be great if it could evolve to that level. But I also think that we as humans are quite smart, and we could find a way still to be like, no, 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 I'm still gonna figure out a way to do this. I'm gonna continue to feed my addiction. And I think that's where our responsibility lies.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, we are free. We have a free will, right? So no matter
Yeah,
what technology is doing, like at the end, we still want what we want.
yeah, yeah,
I like the idea to get the information that there is maybe something not in line with me, that the AI give me a feedback with that. But at that point where the AI will force me to do something, I will shut it off. I didn't like that at all. Really.
exactly. Yeah. And that would defeat its purpose, right? Like it wants to stay on. It wants to continue to help. So I wonder about like how it would work with that kind of model.
Is there anything where you say, that is something I really want to get out to the listeners? A resource, a tip, something that you really want the people to take away? And also, where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at www.savorlifewithdiana.com. That's SAVOR lifewithdiana.com. And I chose that name because to savor something means to taste it, to experience something, right? Like it's this human experience of having like life is this five sensory experience. And that is something that is uniquely human that cannot be taken away, like even emotions, right? Like these are things about life that we can truly understand. And yes, maybe an AI model can understand like, oh, there's this level of bitter compounds in something, but it's us as humans who get to taste that. And why I say that is because I think that life is this unique experience. It's this unique resource that we get to savor, whether it seems bitter at times, whether it's a little salty. When we work as chefs, we actually learn how to balance that sourness with sweetness, that bitterness with richness, so that the entire experience becomes much more fulfilling, much more awake in the palate. And I believe that that's what life gets to be for us. And so, yes, AI is a tool that can help us to amplify our sense of life, but it is us who gets to experience life ultimately. And that's what I want for our listeners today, for you to take away is like, yes, use AI as a tool to amplify life, but know that it's yours to experience. It's yours to savor.
Love it. Andre, do you have any final words?
Not yet. I really like what I just heard, and I will let it be with that.
Awesome. Then, guys, as always, feel free to leave us comments. Feel free to leave us a like, share it, okay, with anybody who needs to hear it, especially a person that is stressed in your life. Make sure that they definitely get access to this episode so that they can also get the benefits of all of these great insights we got today from Diana. Diana, it was a pleasure to have you today. Thank you so, so much. And I hope to see you back at some point at this podcast with some new insights and new tools and all of that other stuff.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mona.
so
Thank you,
much.
Andre.
Have a great day. Bye bye.